nhiều người listening to us and to believe that in our head.
Attention, there has been a grizzly bear incident up in Bonner County as reported by North Idaho News, Bob Norris's own trusted news network. Stand by, folks. We are dealing with some technological issues on the back end. We will be live shortly.
Welcome to the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. We are the only live, local, liberty-minded program in Kootenai County where we expose political power players, politicians, social influencers, sometimes influential pastors. It gets a little tricky. We're your hosts, Dan and Dawna Wilson. I'm here to screen your questions and comments. You can do that, participate in the program by putting those comments and questions right into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. And remember, we are live right now, 7 p.m. Wednesday night. So share this feed to your page or profile. I feel like we need more music.
Yeah, I know.
It's just I just can't do it.
I know.
I can't do it without the energy. For those of you listening back on our podcast, you can join us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Give me just a second here. Tonight on the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast, we're turning the spotlight on two women stepping up to lead in their communities. We've got Charlene Phipps, who's coming up later in the program, current Spirit Lake City Council member and candidate for mayor of Spirit Lake. She joins us to talk about her vision for growth, community, and leadership in a town that's changing fast, just like all these towns here around Kootenai County. And in Coeur d'Alene, Debbie Loffman is running for mayor in a crowded race against an incumbent, a longtime political insider and another fresh face to politics. We're going to ask what inspired her to enter the race and how she plans to bring accountability back to local government. That's something that is ongoing for people. Accountability and transparency. It's like on repeat. It's election season in North Idaho, whether you like it or not. And tonight we're hearing directly from the people who are asking for your vote. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Dan Wilson.
Good evening. Episode 41, Liberty Without Compromise. Thank you for joining us. We do have a very packed evening for you. We will not have a typical show where we're showing videos and doing lots of visuals. We do have a few for you, but I did at the beginning, probably before many of you tuned on, I did want to let you know that according to the infamous news network of North Idaho News, they're reporting that there has been a grizzly bear incident up in Bonner County. Now, I have no idea what that means. I have no idea if Yogi decided to go down to the local pizza factory and check out some of that sausage pepperoni or what. But if you're in Bonner and you happen to know what's going on, please let us know. Now, talking about bears, it reminds me that our infamous sheriff, as we reported to you just a short few weeks ago, was apparently learning how to bear hunt from former county commission candidate and pastor of the Altar Church, John Padula. And, I'm not certain how well that went. Maybe that was one of the bears that got away.
Oh.
I don't know. And I don't know if our video, we're having a little technical issues tonight.
You wanted the video right now?
Somebody sent us a video of John Padula and the sheriff.
Let's see if I can
hunting.
Where'd that thing go? Where'd the thing go?
Let's see if we can find that. New Intermax and also Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
But Microsoft decided I got kicked out of all the accounts prior to coming on, and I can't use any Microsoft product, which is a good reminder as to why you don't want this digital surveillance state, including digital coin, because just like Microsoft, for no reason, kicks you out and you have no recourse. There's no helpline that you can call at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. But anyway, we did have that video. We'll bring it to you next week so that you can see the commander-in-chief of Kootenai County bear hunting with John Padula. I did have one question that came to mind. I know that Padula is named as a witness by Penny Collinson in her lawsuit against Bob Norris for defamation. And I'm kind of curious how that works. Is that considered witness tampering if you have a witness that is bear hunting along with the defendant?
Yeah.
Who also happens to be the supreme law enforcement officer of the county?
Yeah.
Don't know. But I do know that Norris was finally, he hasn't had a town hall since the infamous KCRCC town hall back in February, where he laid hands on a woman, violated her constitutional rights. And I think that he's laid low, but being the opportunist that he is, he did not fail to capitalize on Grooveberries and Charlie Kirk and the hero worship of Charlie. And I'm sorry if that offends you guys. I like Charlie. Charlie did a lot of good things, but many of you are out of your ever freaking minds with the worship of this dude. You've turned him into a saint. You've turned him into an icon. It's weird. It's weird. But Bob Norris was today in the paper because he had to get up in his MAGA hat. How do you say that you're a whack job? Put on a MAGA hat as the sheriff and stand in front of all your constituents and tell how much Charlie was for law and order.
Well, I guess what I don't understand is capitalizing on religiosity when from my experience of Sheriff Norris, there has been nothing, no projection of anything biblical or faith related background, any hope coming from that sense of faith that I've ever heard him provide to the community. So I guess it's confusing to me why he's wrapped up into an event that was centered on the legacy of Charlie Kirk, who proclaimed his faith very loudly.
Well, it's capitalizing on Kirk and the Turning Point USA. When Bob Norris went to speak to Turning Point last year during the campaign, we heard from those in attendance that Bob was uninspiring and he said he was teaching them about the Constitution. He didn't say anything about the founders or the Constitution. So it's a capitalistic attitude that I guess when he runs to get the publicity that he so desperately needs for these things. And it's sick. It's also sick to see the amount of merchandise that's being sold on the back of Charlie Kirk.
How far do you want me to really go with this?
Not far. We got guests. We got to be nice.
I was like, I definitely have some opinions on what we've observed the last few days going on with that locally, but I can reserve that for later.
I think that's what we'll do. And there's more than enough to talk about. But to remind all of you out there that next week we will not have a show. We will either replay one of our other we might have some special juicy segment that's never before been seen. Maybe.
Possibly.
Don't know.
Yeah.
So
everybody just joining us, we're kind of rambling on here a little bit more than usual. We've got a couple of special guests tonight. So we've got Debbie Loffman, who we'll be speaking to in just a minute. She's in the race for mayor of Coeur d'Alene. And then we're going to be talking to Charlene Phipps a little later in the program after that. And while we're here live, and even as we're talking to Debbie, we encourage you to put your questions and comments right into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. And so that more people here in Kootenai County can hear straight from these candidates, we want you to share this feed to your page or profile. Even right now while it's live, even if you're listening back, share the feed, because being able to hear from candidates directly is so important for our community. In my opinion, we don't do it enough. And for lack of live debate, we here at Liberty Without Compromise love to be able to provide this platform for you to have an exchange and ask these questions while they're on your mind. And sometimes the questions, you don't know what you want to ask until you're hearing from the candidate. And as they get into a topic, you think, hey, I want you to expound on that, or I want to hear a little bit more. So as you think of those questions, put them right there into the comment section, and when appropriate, we will get those over to Debbie as we're talking to her.
And Thomas Jefferson said it very eloquently and to the point. The government that you elect is the government you deserve. So while we have a large amount of candidates running for many different offices, it is incumbent upon you to do your own research. There's many different platforms out there that you can look up all these candidates, go to meet and greets, listen to their town halls. Don't just go off of the KCRCC voting guide because you're a Republican and,
that's an arranged. You know what? I just realized what that's like. That's kind of like an arranged marriage.
Maybe.
Or like Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
You only find out what the issues are until after you say I do. You watch it go down in real time.
Well, hey, we are so happy tonight to have on our fourth mayoral candidate for Coeur d'Alene. Is it now playing?
Oh, what am I hearing? Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know what.
I'm going to have to give that introduction again.
What do we have going? Oh, goodness.
What do we have playing?
I don't know. What is happening?
When you give me the cue, I'm gonna restate what I was saying.
I don't have anything playing that I can see.
It's not on.
Hold on, I think I know what it is. I got it. Okay.
Copy that.
All right. Debbie, I'm so sorry. We're usually so much more like on top of it than that.
You guys are
we
Hello,
are excited.
Dan. Hello, Dawna.
We're glad to have you on.
Thank you.
So you are the fourth. Yeah,
yes.
You're the fourth candidate.
Yeah.
I don't know if she can hear us or not.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I have my headphones on. Yes, I'm the fourth candidate. 3 men and a baby. I think that was a movie. Anyway, yeah, I put my hat in the ring for running for mayor, and in order to vote for me, you have to know a little bit about me. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about me. How's that?
Great. Excellent.
Do you guys know me? I mean, you maybe you've seen it on other platforms, but it's the same. I was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota.
I was born in Minnesota.
What part?
Now I just forgot.
St. Paul in Hennepin County.
Minneapolis.
Oh, you were? Well, that's
Cool.
Hennepin County.
All right.
So you know snow. We know snow. It's big time over there. Yeah. Born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, in a wonderful Baptist family. My dad wanted to try farming when I was about 7 years old. So we moved to a farm in Wisconsin, and dairy farming, and it was really, really hard work. And we only lasted there 5 years. So back to St. Paul. Then when I was in my 20s, I moved to a suburb of Sacramento, and I started a tenant screening company that screens tenants for landlords. And it grew to having 11 employees, and I sold 5 franchises of it. After running it for 10 years, I sold it. Then I got my real estate license and my broker's license, and I opened another company, Loffman Realty and Property Management, which I've been running for 20 years. So I'm dealing with owners and tenants and vendors and all kinds of things. I'm married. My husband's a meteorologist, and I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. And I've met I met a daughter of yours. So I don't know how many kids you have, but I met one of them.
We have loads.
How many kids do you have? 5?
Between the 2 of us, we have 8.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So anyway, I have 2 kids, 2 grandkids. And so back to the question, why am I running for mayor? A couple of reasons. I want to be a voice for people in our community that don't feel heard. And I want to add a little more conservative perspective to the Coeur d'Alene government. So that's that's why I'm running. And another question you asked me was, what issues are the most important? Right?
Yeah.
Growth is probably the most important issue on people that I talk to. Excuse me. They don't like what they think is uncontrolled, out of control growth downtown. And so they tell me it's the biggest challenge. And as I listen to them, the majority of them are upset with the high rises coming up downtown. At one point, we had 3 cranes going on. And it was just really upsetting to the people. So what I'd like to do is, work with builders and developers to kind of slow down that growth, see if we can have maybe height limits on future buildings, because the character and the charm of Coeur d'Alene is very important, and we don't want to lose that as we grow. Second concern would be balancing the budget. There's a lot of ways you can do that. I'd like to work with the department heads and ask them, how can we reduce spending in your department just by 2%? Let's go department by department, saying what's working, what's not working. How can we reduce the budget a little bit so that we can balance it? And lastly, I'm a huge supporter of our police and our first responders. I want to make sure they have all the resources they need to keep our city safe.
Outstanding. Now, you had said that you wanted to be a voice, if I heard you correctly, you want to be a voice for those that that are not as well represented, or did I hear you correctly on that?
Yeah, that's true. That's what I feel.
Who would those be, and give us a little more background on that?
I suppose more of a conservative Republican background. That's what I feel. That's what I am.
Sure. So you've lived in Kootenai County for how long?
5 years. The first year as a renter. And then in 2021, we bought our home in Coeur d'Alene Place.
Okay.
When you mentioned being a voice for conservative Republican, I think that lands in a really good place for a lot of people countywide. And I think there's maybe been a perception that representation in Coeur d'Alene proper is less conservative. I would love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you know of candidates in the running as to positions they've taken or how they've voted or how they've maybe represented or misrepresented as they're in their official capacity now that maybe aren't in line with your worldview or some of those conservative things that you would plan on bringing? What would that contrast be? What are some of the things that you might see in leadership making missteps in Coeur d'Alene that you would bring as a conservative that would be different?
That's a really good question. Let me think about that. I guess I wouldn't be for all the fast growth. I don't know if that's a conservative or, what that is, but that's one thing I see is I thought the growth was just kind of out of control. And, maybe it had to be that way, but I don't exactly know what the other candidates, how conservative or liberal they are. I have made it a promise that I would not speak negatively of the other candidates. I'm not even going to call them opponents. They're just other candidates for mayor. And because I'm not going to talk negatively about them, I have to talk positively about myself all the time. And it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, it's tough to do. And I had a conversation the other day where I was saying, when done correctly, when you're campaigning, when you're running a race, and even when you have a viable opponent, there should be an element of fun to it. I mean, it's fair. It's like going into any kind of a fair contest, and we want to be challenged. And I think done correctly, it can be a good thing instead of being viewed as negative. So, and I was so much more looking for, what are some voting records and things that you would say they, Woody or some in his capacity, since he's the incumbent, I thought maybe if you had been familiar with some of his positions where you would be different. So it's not so much diminishing what they're doing, but just kind of where it would be different. And there was more what I was thinking, not to put you in a position to have to put them in a negative light.
This brings up a good question. As you know, I ran for sheriff last year, and one of the things that pissed me off more than any other thing is the fact that nobody would force a debate. And I think that the people are owed a debate by anybody that's running, yourself included. So my question is, have you been in talks with any of the other four to have an open public debate? And if so, what can you tell us about that? And if not, why? Why not?
Well, we've been on panels where we've said, our answers on some of the questions that you're asking. And in the League of Women Voters, the last one, all of the candidates for mayor and for city council were all lined up, and we were all given questions and answers. And then at the end, people wrote down some questions for each candidate, like on a piece of paper. And so each candidate got like 3 questions. I got 3, Dan got 3, pretty much everybody got 3 or 4 questions. So as I'm sitting here, you can see me. So Dan is sitting to my left, and John Pulsifer's to my right, and then Woody down there. So we're all kind of in a row, and we're all talking. And Dan Gookin leans over to me, and he goes, "Look at my question. It says, what do you think about Debbie Loffman?" And I looked at it and I said, "That's not your question, but I'll answer it for you. She's nice. She's relatable. She's a good businesswoman. She might make a good mayor. And we laughed, so it's a little bit of an olive branch. It was a little bit of breaking of the ice. And, I don't have anything against them. I'm not their enemy in any way.
But would you debate? Because I did the panels too. I did a lot of them, and to me, they were subjective because whoever's controlling the questions may or may not give the candidates all or the appropriate questions. It's prejudicial, but there is nothing better than an actual all on one-on-one or 4-on-4 debate to see. What are truly the differences? You guys are vying for the highest position inside Coeur d'Alene. So what does that look like in reality with you guys being able to go back and forth? So I have not asked that question of any of the other candidates, but I am asking them as well. Will any of you push for a debate? And if not, what is the real reason why you would be against that?
I don't know. I'd probably like to ask Dan that, myself. As you know, this is a new venture for me. I've been a businesswoman. I have not been in politics. This is no joke. And so they're going to know all of the ins and outs. I haven't burned any bridges. I shouldn't have any enemies. So, I don't, and I don't know the players. I don't know that stuff. Maybe that's important. I think it's probably okay. I think it's probably a plus on my end. But the role of mayor is executive. It's not legislative like the council. The job is leadership. It's building a cohesive team. A good leader has the ability to work with all types of people that are more liberal than you, people that are more conservative than you, working with all types of people, good communication skills, finding common ground. And I want to be known, if I'm mayor, I want to be known as a mayor who is a champion of small businesses, a champion of small businesses. I love small businesses. I want to support them whenever I can. I want to encourage our young people to start a business. I can help you with that. I know how to start. I was really young when I started one. And I'd like young people to start their own business and be a part of our community. So that's what a really big thing for me is small businesses. Supporting.
So we have a bunch of questions coming in, and I probably better get to some of these. Ed DePriest, talking property rights into consideration. Taking, excuse me, I don't have my glasses. What will you do? What will you do that is within the state local land use planning act and state land use statutes to manage growth?
What would I do within those?
Yeah. So on the screen, yep. What will you do that is within the state local land use planning act?
What will you do that is within the state local land use planning act and state land use statutes to manage growth? Yeah. Boy, I'd have to really research that and get back to you. I know the comprehensive plan is about 111 pages long. My husband has read every word of it, and I've thumbed through it. So I would have to get back to you, Ed DePriest. I'll get back to you on that. I'll do some research on that for you.
So we're just scrolling through questions here to make certain we haven't missed any. I think that there's a common theme of some of the questions that people are wanting to ask, but what other things, before we dive into some of these other questions that all are similar, what would be, in your opinion, the greatest thing that you bring as far as who you are to the office that is the greatest benefit for you to lead the city as chief executive officer?
I guess the greatest benefit is I'm friendly. I love people. I think I'd be a good representative. Also, working with the various departments to balance the budget. I think I'm really good working with people. I ran both of my companies debt free, and not that I didn't make any mistakes, but I ran them debt free, and I had really good employees and really good relationships. It's really important to have a good relationship with all the departments within the city. I believe I can do that. I think I'm an easy person to get along with. I think that's the most important part about my personality, is I'm easy to get along with. I have good leadership skills.
Yeah, and I think that now that we've had a chance to talk with all four of you, I don't think there's one candidate that's a jerk.
No, that's why you can run a good race, because it doesn't have to be about that. Now, one thing I want to bring this up because I think it transitions into something else. So Nikki Betts has left a comment. We need less people in politics running and more that have a vested interest in their community. Experienced politicians have done zero for us.
Yeah, I agree.
So I am one that agrees that political experience isn't what's necessary. But what definitely is, when you don't have somebody with political traction or that political track record, voting record, or opinion, those things in the community, what being crucial is what their background and experience is that then lends itself to the office. And with that, what we know has been circulating is, with your experience in real estate as a broker, there were some pieces that came to light in the last few days. And we most definitely, that's the common theme in some of these other comments being made. So we want to give you the opportunity to let's talk about that, because I think that's one of the things is rumors. We were subject to this. Rumors would circulate, and we're always ones that say, bring us facts. Let's talk about it. Let's go straight to the source. So on this, I appreciate you being willing to talk about what is being said, and we would love to hear straight from you. I don't know, Dan, if you want to clarify specifically.
Just to
fill in listeners too.
Revisit last week, we had obtained basically a court motion, or ruling rather, that was regarding you and some previous some business issues, commingling trust fund accounts with personal funds. And at the conclusion of the audit, I believe you're audited from, what was it, March to April of 2017. Thereabout, and the ruling came back that they were investigating you because of two things that I saw. One was the mixing of the trust funds. For those of you that don't know, trust fund is money that a client has dedicated for maintenance or other issues of a property, in this case, and your own personal funds. And then the second one was the apparent charging, it looked like a 5% markup for managing fees that was not disclosed to the to the, I guess it would be your clients. And through all that, it looked like that rather than go through the complete the trial, if you will. And again, this was new to me. I'm not familiar with real estate courts, but it looks like California has its own real estate court. That you took what we would call a plea deal, which included suspension of license for a time and some, for lack of a better word, restitution that had to take place in order for you to be restored. So based on that, we've had these articles that have been popping up. One came out today by the North Idaho Republican. So that's kind of a little bit of background. And what is your side?
You know, I appreciate you coming to the source and ask me about it. Okay, so in my intro, I said I've been a real estate broker for 20 years, owning my own property management company. And in 2017, so 8 years ago, okay, in property management, you have two accounts. You have an operating account, and in the operating account is your income and how you pay your employees, your rent, your expenses. And then there's a trust account that is security deposits of a tenant. Say you're a tenant of mine and you give me $1,800. I keep it in a trust account until you move out, and then it's processed and either given back to you or pay for carpet cleaning, whatever. 2 deposits, one for the operating and one for the trust account, were brought into my bank, and the teller accidentally switched them. She put the one for the trust account in the operating, and the operating in the trust account. That would be considered commingling. They were fairly small amounts. I think one was $3,000, one was $5,000, and they just went like that. And I didn't see it within 21 days because we get a printout, like a bank statement, and then we reconcile our account. And when we were reconciling, we're like, hey, we're off by $2,000. What happened? So the difference between the $3,000 and the $5,000 is $2,000, and we were off. So I said, what happened? We found it, we corrected it, but the Department of Real Estate saw it, and they came down hard on me. I mean, so hard on me, I was dumbfounded that mistake, I didn't even do it myself, but I didn't see it in time. That mistake was like huge. I didn't realize. They fined me $8,000, the combination of the 2 deposits. They made me pay for the audit, which was $4,500. They had me take 24 quizzes over months of time and a final exam that was really long. I mean, I didn't think I was dumbfounded. For my own, I'm talking over Dan too, but so the 2 accounts that were considered commingling, were either of those personal accounts? I think as you described them. Operating. No, not personal. One's an operating where I pay all my bills.
A business account.
An business operator.
Yeah, and they're both under the same name, Loffman Property Management Operating, Loffman Property Management Trust.
Okay.
So that's why the teller got them mixed up, because they're both the same name.
How long?
Different account numbers.
How long after you made this erroneous deposit, or the banker did? At what point did you guys then find out? How far down the line was that?
40 days.
So did you self-report that to the?
They see it. You didn't? When you're audited, they'll just see it. I don't know how they see it, but they do.
Okay, so that's a question I have. So I've been in business 26 years.
Yeah.
When we fail to report something that does happen from time to time, and we catch it, we identify what we did. We correspond and communicate with the regulating agency or the taxing agency in order to get ahead of that. But what I'm asking is that, so you made the correction internally. You did not, even though you knew that there was the 21 days to report, despite that, you did not report it, and then it was picked up on an audit. Is that correct?
I guess so. I don't know.
What prompted the audit?
They do it all the time. I mean, not all the time, but I mean, every 3 years. Mm-hmm. So, you know what? This isn't unusual. I contacted other property management companies because I'm an award-winning property management company. You probably know that, but I've won best property management in my region of over 1 million people 12 years in a row. So I'm doing something right. But I talked to other ones, and they go, yes, we did that too. Yes, we did that too. Yeah, that happened to us. So it's not uncommon.
There's no requirement though to self-report that?
No, there isn't. There's no requirement. Mm-mm.
So if they come back and they penalize you, were you not able to go back to the bank and say, hey, you guys did this? And then at what point was the bank obligated under error and omissions to, basically vouch for their mistake in defense of you?
Great question. And I did go into the bank, and I talked to the bank manager, and I said, look what happened, and I'm in big trouble. They're coming down hard on me. And she said, honestly, we know not to put security deposits into an operating account. We know that. So they talked to the teller. I didn't want to get the teller fired or anything like that. I just said, look, you guys got to be careful, because this is falling on me. And I paid handily for it. So,
what did they take away from you when they restricted your license? Paint a picture for us as to What were you doing before that all of a sudden you found yourself no longer able to do until you completed the terms of the plea?
Nothing. A restricted license, doesn't have any weight on what I did. I think it just means that if you do it again, you're in big trouble.
But I thought your license was suspended, so they did not suspend it, or how does that work?
Only for a couple of days because I had to get some paperwork in. I had to have that final exam. So it was just for a couple of days. It wasn't long. So
how long did it take them to reinstate your license then? From the time
I called them for another audit. And I asked them, could you audit me again? It was 3 years later. So they came in and audited me again. And the Department of Real Estate representative called me after that audit that I called for. And he said, Debbie, do you know that your audit was 100% clear? And I said, yeah, it was it. And he said, do you know how rare that is? And I said, no, I don't know how rare that is. He says, it's almost unheard of. That's what he said to me. That's exact words. So, hey, I was like, we're trying. I try not to make any mistakes, but look, if people want to criticize me for that infraction, they should try running a property management company in highly regulated, highly taxed California. Just do it and see if you can never make a mistake like that.
So are you fully
tough.
Restored right now?
Yes. But I am
fully
kind of
restored.
Yeah, I am kind of semi-retired because I have some really excellent people working for me, and they will eventually buy the company from me.
So just to make certain that I understand this correctly, because it's somewhat confusing to someone that's not in the industry, but from the time that you took the deal to not fight it and to accept the regulations or the restrictions, penalties, if you will, that took place on or around 2018, September 2018, somewhere around there.
Maybe, yeah.
And then from that point forward, how long did it take for you to get that restored?
I had to call.
I think this is where some of the people
I had to call for it. I had to call for it. They would have just kept me on that forever. They don't
calendar year, or how long did it take you though to restore? How long did it take you to creation process? I guess is probably a better way of putting it.
It didn't really affect my business at all. So, I just called for another audit so that I could have it unrestricted. That's all.
I think what I heard you say was three years later, you called for the audit.
Yeah.
I think that's what I heard you say earlier. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I paid my dues. And, look, if an infraction like that is something that would cancel me, I'll fully accept that. I'm not a person that dodges trouble or, if people say, hey, I don't like you because of that. Well,
I appreciate, and I know our viewers, I appreciate the transparency. I think in a lot of cases with people running for office, the simpler thing to do is just say, I'm going to issue a written statement, put it out there and try to counteract things with that. So this, I appreciate your boldness in coming on and explaining. I do know that people's concerns are, and when we had spoken of this before, it's like, hey, let's give the benefit of the doubt. Honest mistakes happen in these very complex industries.
It is.
So, but
really hard.
What it does come back, and I think the concern for people is when they need to trust a history of business experience and managing budgets and doing that work in public office when what they have, or the track record, as people have said before, I'm running on my record, when it's not blameless or when there are questions like that, it becomes an issue because that's where people have to look. That's what they have to see in what your business skill set is.
I get it. I've been in business for 40 years. I've only made that one error.
I guess I'm curious as to what the teeth of the thing is, because in the agreement that you had made under the order, it states all licenses and licensing rights of respondent under the real estate law are revoked, provide however restricted real estate broker license. So, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is it's not really a big deal. It didn't hamper your business. And I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, then what the hell is any of that for? Why the penalties? Why the suspension if it's not a big deal? What can you say about that?
I didn't say it was a big deal. I said I thought it was the punishment was harsh.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't a big deal as far as it did not affect your business and your ability to continue.
Right. And you know that deposits that were switched, it hurt no one but me. No one was affected by that for that 40 days. It was only hurting me. I only got hurt.
Why did you choose to settle versus fight it?
That was a personal decision of mine, something I was handling at the time. So my sister had just died, but anyway, I didn't even want to talk about. I don't want any excuses. I took responsibility for it, and I just fessed up to it. So I don't know if you can see this.
I can barely see. I mean,
I'll expand the screen so we can all see it together.
Can you take down that question for a minute?
Pull it down here.
I got it.
Loffman Property Management has been selected 12 years in a row for the Best of Rockland Awards for Property Management. Now qualifies for the 2025 Rockland Business Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Not an easy thing to do. So I'm just saying, I am a good businesswoman. I made a mistake. I fessed up to it. I really, really am careful now. We balance our trust account every 20 days to the penny. I bet you do.
You're like,
to the penny.
Learn from that one.
and I'm So anyway, but let's go back to how would I govern differently? How would I be different as a mayor? One thing I want to do, since I just said that I want to be known as a mayor as a champion of small business. Okay. I want to visit the small business owners. I want to talk to them about, hey, how can we help you? How can your business grow? I would like to have a website, something called like a mayoral website where I advertise new businesses. Hey, this just opened up. It's a Italian restaurant. Come and visit. They're new, or maybe someone's having some kind of a special or some kind of an event on the mayoral website. I'd like to have all these businesses on there that we can promote and help our businesses grow, because that's what makes our city vital is our businesses. So
I guess I would love to know what are some of the top 2 or 3 things that local businesses in the area, what their challenges are, so that you could bridge the gap to what their challenges are and promote, wanting to bring in new business. What are the current challenges, and what would you do to bridge that gap?
That's what I want to find out. That's what I visited most of them I went last Friday. I went around to most all the businesses on Sherman, and then I went down to 4th Street, which is also another little business corridor there where Izzy's is and Pilgrims and all of that. And traffic is one of the things that they're talking about downtown, and the loudness of the thing, so that's one thing that we have to kind of look at is traffic flow. And especially now with all the building going on, it's a little more crowded. So
and permits. Permits.
Debbie,
oh my gosh, yeah. Streamline the permit process. Thank you. Wow. Yeah.
Debbie, do you currently have a business in Kootenai County, or is your business solely in California?
It's in California. So I don't know if I'll open a business here. It just depends on what happens here with this mayoral race. And like I say, if Dan or Woody or John Pulsifer win, I will be supporting them as best as I can. I have no grudges. I have no problem with them, and I would support them if they ran.
Awesome. So, so do you think though that it's important to have an actual business inside Kootenai County if you're going to champion small businesses? I mean,
well, I've already done that. I've already done that.
But I mean, it seems a little bit odd to me as a business guy to be talking about something that you're profiting from the economy of California, but not actually from what I'm hearing you say, you're not contributing to the economy with your business here locally, but you're saying you want to represent. Did I get that wrong?
I could. I mean, I haven't opened a business here. I'm kind of a busy grandma now. Oh, and the other thing, one of the things that you asked about is a good leader is also a good servant, a good volunteer. I have a community service called Grandmas to the Rescue. Have you heard about that?
I have.
Yeah. So I partner with a couple other ladies, and we find women, young moms that are in need of some assistance. And so we go in and we help, usually once a week, and organize and do laundry and clean the kitchen, and gives the mom a little break and lets them know somebody cares. Somebody's here to help you. So that's what we have. That's a little community service, I guess, a ministry called Grandmas to the Rescue. And I love it a lot. It's a really, because the strength of our families are really important. And you would know that when you had young kids, if there was somebody that would come and help you once in a while. It's really nice. It's really nice to know.
Yep.
So anyway,
are you a member of the Chamber of Commerce?
I was for the past 2 years. I didn't renew. Yeah. I just was kind of busy, but I didn't renew. But I'm contemplating renewing that now because I put my hat in the ring. So I'm thinking I probably might join that again. Be a part of that.
Looks like one more question. Let's see if I can read it correctly from here.
Is it Christus?
Yeah.
So the curiosity is, depending on the outcome of this mayoral race, would you be interested in any other office aside from the mayor?
I don't know. That would be something I'd have to look at the time. So.
Yeah, sometimes it creates a spark. You get the bug, and then the idea is there, and
yeah.
And then some of us do it one time, and we're like, we're done.
Oh my gosh, no! It's like I say, it's no joke. It's really no joke. So your life is on, in an open book. But but I really, really appreciate both of you. I thank you for what you do, and I appreciate you letting me speak my piece. But may the best man win. Really.
Yep. I think that's.
Any closing comments for us tonight?
I guess all I would want to say is I believe I'd be a good mayor. I believe I'd really be a champion for Coeur d'Alene and represent you well. It's kind of like an ambassador, and I think I would do that well. But we'll let the
How can people? Can people get in touch with you? There may be questions that are still trickling in. They want to ask those. They can hit you directly or find more information. I think you've got a website, so why don't you let us know best way to contact you and learn more?
Okay, it's DebbieLoffmanForIdaho.com. DebbieLoffmanForIdaho.com. And for is FOR, DebbieLoffmanForIdaho.com.
All right.
Just email me and but yeah. I love people. I love my city. Oh, another thing I was going to say is Coeur d'Alene is really fun. It's a fun city. People are out there kayaking. They're ATVs. They're fishing. They're swimming. They're hunting. They're snowmobiling, skiing. It's fun. It's fun here. So I'd like to keep that up.
Well, we greatly appreciate you coming on and facing the questions. Obviously, this interview has generated a far different set of questions than what we normally see, but you stayed through it. I have a respect for you for doing that. You are the current KCRCC vetted and endorsed candidate. Is that correct?
Or recommended.
I
don't think they endorse.
Yeah. So, but anyway, well, we greatly appreciate your time, and everybody go check Debbie out and send her questions if you have further questions that we didn't get to tonight, didn't see, or you thought of afterwards. And again, hopefully you guys will have a debate. I would come and watch that debate.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. Thanks again, Debbie.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Dawna.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I put that QR code up in the corner. So if you snapshot that, that'll get you right to Debbie Loffman's website. She, again, is running for mayor in Coeur d'Alene against incumbent Woody McEvers, and then
City Councilman Dan Magookin. Sorry, Magookin. Dan Gookin, and
he didn't deserve that.
And
John Pulsifer, who's a new face to politics in Kootenai County, a local business owner.
Here's what I appreciate about people that have not run before. I think that it was stated at the beginning of the show by one of the viewers that we need less professionals and a lot more.
We don't need professional politicians.
Thank you for fixing that for me. But, again, last week we had not heard from her. We did bring up the issue with the real estate, and I'm not going to say that she's a liar because I don't know her heart. I don't know how that business operates. I have time to dive into every piece. I mean, there's some things there that to me are still questionable. But she's stated what her answers are, and it's up for the voters to decide. I will make one small note because number one, it's not my intent to bring anybody on to continually offend them. And I understand what it's like to be on the hot seat. But I do want to point out, because she is a KCRCC recommendee, that when you pull up her survey, and I would encourage you guys to pull up surveys, because some of the people that are endorsed are complete idiots. I mean, their answers should disqualify them from being a representative. Now, not every person that's recommended is an idiot. I'm never going to make that whole blanket statement unless I'm in a mood. Right? But
even I would correct you on that, because it's not straight across the board.
There was one question of hers, and this is something for you guys to ponder. Again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I can't vote there in Coeur d'Alene. But it was the last question of the KCRCC survey, which you can go and download this survey and her answers. But it says, do you have any history of tax liens, criminal record, bankrupt of interest, personal or professional? And she said no. Now, some people have said to me that was dishonest, because she, I believe, still has one step to get it expunged from the record.
Okay. All right.
Right. So some people are of the opinion that was untruthful, and that if it wasn't for others in the community that looked it up and found these records, that she was hoping that it would be swept under the rug. There are those that have also stated that not admitting to this would show a pattern of either untruthfulness and or inability to lead because of, again, if it's a minor issue and you're just going to let it slide, my issue on the whole deal is self-report. If you do something wrong, IRS, Department of Revenue, whoever the agency, best practices for somebody that's been in business a very long time is, and if you're successful, is that you communicate, own up to it, pay whatever penalties, but you don't just wait for the auditors to come in and catch you, because every time they do that, it's not good. So anyway,
and then you said, this is one expression that I got really sick of hearing, because when we took criticism in our campaign, even now, people say, why do you keep railing on Bob Norris? Get over it already. And they'll say, I was even a fan of yours. I don't have a dog in the fight. So I'm harping on you a little bit here because you said you didn't have a dog in the fight.
Meaning that I can't vote.
Well, I understand. And so I'm going to admit I do have a dog in the fight because we have been very vocal about the shortcomings of the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee vetting process, the interview process, and the questionable recommendations that they have made with an increasing track record for candidates who have been rated and vetted that they're pushing out there and spending a ton of money on to push onto the county to say these are our most conservative vetted candidates. And so we have been very vocal coming out against them and critical of them. Yeah. So in terms of a dog in the fight, I do want to be honest about that. Like from that vantage point, I definitely do have I was going to say a chicken in the ring. I was like going to say when you have chicken fights. Yeah. I didn't want to say the word. You didn't want to say that word? Cockfight? Well, because then it got really bad from there. Just let it go. I
would have said cockfight myself.
But yeah, I mean, dog in the fight because
that's because I'm Scottish.
Yes. Oh, and I want to say I don't think when you said McGookin, that was not on you weren't. It was actually a whoops. Slip. It was a whoops. But Bree was saying that she is half Scottish, so they might go by.
I believe that Bree is
McGookin.
I could definitely see Bree with William Wallace storming King Richard's castle. Okay, so I think that what you said is accurate. Look, I laugh because there were KCRCC sycophants. You hear me use this word all the time. I love that word. Blowhards that wanted to sit there, and they were so obnoxious on our live streams during the campaign that we finally axed them. Mm-hmm. Right? Blocked them. And there's this one candidate right now in Athel that's a KCRCC sycophant. He thinks he's a lot smarter than what he is.
His sign is on Beaumont, on the Beaumont door.
And he's a giant nerd. But I went and read his survey questions.
Oh, yes. Talk to me about this.
I'm going to do this probably next time. Yeah, because here's the deal. The dude is such a effing hypocrite.
Yeah.
Sat there week after week, poking. You're not from here. You're from Spokane. You don't know what it's like to live in Idaho. How dare you think that you can support the county that you weren't born in? While he's sitting there supporting Bob Norris from Los Angeles. And this KCRCC dope candidate admits that he lived in Spokane area when he was a kid.
Well, doesn't
he sat there trying to through his daughter?
Isn't there more?
There is, and I'm not going to get through all of it. But I will say this.
Out.
Well, I don't know if it's the same juicy part that you and I know about, but here's the funny thing: the dude works in Washington because he can't get his license in Idaho. He tried to get his bar license in Idaho, and he can't. He had to do it in Washington because he's going to eventually get it in Idaho. I'm so sick and tired of you people. Like I've had it up to here with you as SOBs in the KCRCC. I've had it with you. You guys are the biggest jokes.
Okay, but knowing now that this same guy is running for office, what do you think his designs were? What were his motives when he was very loud detractor, both he himself on our live, obnoxiously so, where the only reason I banned him from comments is because he was flooding them with pointless.
And using his daughter.
No, and then I said top of that, his young daughter to come in and fire off the same questions, at which point she said, oh, no, I came up with all of these myself. And it's interesting because it sure seems like KCRCC specific anti-Wilson.
He's an attorney. So that's your first problem.
Well, the point is you did say what I was hoping. The juicy part was he was ragging on you for not having been in the region your entire life, born and raised Spokane, and crossing back and forth that 20 miles to the border, hunting in the mountains, building, as a young contractor, building your first over in Kootenai County, all of that. And then we come to find out that he practices law over in Spokane.
Yeah. So look,
That-
all
that
you
was
guys,
all- that's
you,
all I
you-
was
you
getting at.
hypocrites, you guys, you purists, man. There's nobody more pure than in Idaho their entire life, except you go to the doctor in Washington, you shop in Washington, you go to do entertainment in Washington. Anyway, we're done with that right now.
All right. Previously, earlier on in the program, we we had our interview with now I got so riled up, my brain's
Charlene.
like with earlier in the program we had our interview with Debbie Law for mayor of Coeur d'Alene, and we also promised you that we'd be hearing from Charlene Phipps, who is a councilman in Spirit Lake, has been for the last couple of years, and she sat down with us, and she's running for mayor. That is actually yet another crowded race.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll uncover more as we're in this conversation with her, and I truly believe you are going to enjoy getting to know Charlene.
Yeah,
great conversation. Let's see what I can do here. Might be a little bit of awkwardness. Next up on Liberty Without Compromise, I'm honored to welcome Charlene Phipps. She's currently serving on the Spirit Lake City Council and now running for mayor of Spirit Lake. Charlene has been a vocal advocate for citizens, known for digging into issues, asking tough questions, and holding government accountable. Over the past couple of years, she's volunteered heavily with the Spirit Lake Chamber of Commerce, the Senior Center, and the Spirit Lake Community Coalition. Prior to public service, she worked in healthcare as a registered nurse and also has experience in legal secretarial work. Skills, she says, help with reviewing contracts in volatile situations. In her campaign, Charlene promises to expand comment opportunities for the public, bring audits online, hold town halls, and build a business consortium so local business voices are heard. We're going to get into what inspired her to run, how her council experience shapes her mayoral approach, and what she sees as Spirit Lake's greatest challenges. So, Charlene, we welcome you to the show.
Charlene, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and tell us about your race. Give us a little background on your experience with the Spirit Lake City Council.
I'm bringing us back live. That was a pre-recorded segment that we did on Monday, and I think a mistake that I made is it didn't actually download the file that had her up on screen.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
What?
I
you
know.
mean you mean as a volunteer for the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast, you made such a rookie mistake? I'm going to dock your pay.
Yeah. This is some good times we're having here tonight. So I don't know if I can make a hearty attempt to get this other file, if we can vamp on something for a little bit.
Let's,
if you had another,
because I really want people to hear Charlene. I really like her approach and her insight into the position.
I had
and her
talked a little bit about your background.
So while you're trying to
when we
pull
were
that up,
introducing
let's
you.
go ahead and
How
have
does-
a little discussion.
Give me a little
if you guys
bit more
have
on
any comments that you
your
want to make
work
right
history,
now,
your background,
I'll be happy
and then
to address
how
them.
that's
But
been
you
an
know,
asset to you both
I
and
have
how
been.
you're
I don't know
serving
about you guys,
currently,
but
and then
obviously
in the race for mayor.
We were hours after the Charlie Kirk assassination, and I never knew the guy. I watched some of his stuff. I'm very familiar with who he is, but I wasn't somebody that followed him a lot. And what I saw was the guy was brilliant, obviously, and his faith was for the world to see. He was that salt and light that so desperately needed in these times, and he was courageous. And we saw him murdered in cold blood. But what was really, I guess, completely, and I want to have this conversation with you, completely that I was not anticipating was the amount of what appears to be worship of this guy. And look, we have icons, leaders from our past that we look up to, and people that are current that we look up to, that were great men and women of history, of history, and in the faith. But there, what I observed to be a border worship of an individual that was just a man, was created in God's image, Well done, good and faithful servant, is what he heard when he shut his eyes. But that doesn't mean that he's a saint, doesn't mean that he's a worshipful object. And then what was even worse than that to me was the publicity around this event. And so many, including in this county, signed off on making themselves famous and or money off the back of Charlie Kirk, in my personal opinion. Curious what you guys have to think about this. Do you guys see what Dawna and I saw? Again, did not have a dislike for Charlie, wasn't a super fan. I watched a lot of his stuff during 2020 in the early days of the COVID and during G6 and, after the Biden administration. But what is it about conservatives that tend to not realize that there's a difference between propping somebody up and saying this is somebody that, led a good charge, but stopping to where you're making it an icon, a carnival, to where you're making money off of t-shirts and organizations. And we did a little search to find out how many organizations around the country have recently started Charlie Kirk-esque, because they loosely tie it in, 501c3s. And it astonishes me. I don't have the stats in front of me because we weren't prepared to talk about it.
Well,
but it was...
Yeah, I mean, part of it is there has been a massive uptick in people making requests for the TPUSA local outlets. But there are no numbers on nonprofit registrations just yet. The data's too new to figure that out. So I guess one of my major concerns is that it has become such a political and religious movement all tied together.
Yeah.
And people are then wanting to make that synonymous with, well, this is a nationwide revival. And I think that probably is where you were headed in the conversation.
It's horseshit. Because here's the deal, folks. Study history, study American history. There is no revival without personal and corporate repentance. And we're not talking about playing Jesus is my boyfriend choruses for a day while we're all together like we're at a rock concert and we're in 12th grade with our high school girlfriend. It's called repentance to where it breaks you, to where it takes all political feuding when you realize how wretched of an individual you are and you're convicted of not only your own sin and participation in sin going against God, but also on the corporate, the American people, the community, and what their portion of it is. It's repenting of even sins that have never been officially repented from. You cannot have a revival. And I'm sick and tired of you people out there, your wolves in sheep's clothing, for forgetting that there is no salvation without first repentance. So you're leading a bunch of people down this emotional roller coaster, and you're claiming, Theo Wold claims, there's a revival. He was out on the Capitol steps. There's a revival happening. Really? Well, Theo, are you leading, or any of the KCRCC ultra-religious? Are any of them holding rallies to talk about what sins we've committed here in this county or in this state? Or is it just, it's revival because people are going to start, adhering to more conservative, pop conservative ideas for now, because Trump's there. I mean, you got a sheriff that wears Make America Great Again hat at a Charlie Kirk event. I mean, at what point do you not realize how ridiculous and stupid this behavior is? And I don't care, as you know, whether or not I'm the unpopular one by saying that, or Donna's the unpopular one. It needs to be said because nobody is saying this. Now, Bjorn, I think I may have met you one time. I think that you are, I know that you're on the KCRCC board. I don't know what position you are. I think you also work for McShane, which is a political strategy group out of Las Vegas. I don't know if you're tied in with Don Ahern, but look, you say that you're a KCRCC blowhard and you love the criticism. That's the only way you improve. Well, then tell me, Bjorn, I'll take you at your word. What did you learn on the way that Bob Norris was allowed to continue to be endorsed by the KCRCC after he allowed, in violation of state law, the Deputy Sheriff's Association to use the Cooney County Sheriff's badge in violation of state law in order to publish a mailer that went out that, you know, many of the original KCRCC, 30 of the PCs lost their position to what they're calling the North Idaho Dirty 30. Well, what did you learn from that?
You know what I think a great idea would be Bjorn to come on the show and tell us what he learned.
How are we doing on that download? Are we going to make it?
I got the download, but since we brought up the Charlie Kirk thing, I had a couple more points. Somebody once, there was one of the pastors at my church. One of the things it said that is, it really is this simple. And I've repeated this so many times. When you find what's going on in religious circles or churches that call themselves Christian and you're trying, but you see some confusion in that, or you have somebody like Dan or I who starts to rattle the cage and you're like, well, what, you know, they're saying something about my pastor in my church that I love and how dare they? It's as easy as this. And that is Jesus Christ plus anything is heresy.
Yes, that is correct.
And it's from the moment that was shared with me from the pulpit, I have never forgotten that. Because it really is no more confusing than that point. Jesus Christ plus Charlie Kirk is heresy. Mm-hmm. Now, people will say, again, this is just the guy, you know, in his life ending the way that it did. It's representative of, and it's creating a movement, and it's drawing attention to Christ.
If it's based on faulty foundation, who the hell cares? It doesn't matter.
And the other thing that on the heels of this, the Charlie Kirk movement and its religiosity and its feel good, and you're bringing in the musicians onto the stage and everybody says it's beautiful. I'm sorry you missed it. Think about what is happening. You are being compelled and pulled, and I will say manipulated emotionally. It's all based on emotion, which eventually will fizzle. That is not a strong force that keeps anybody for the long term. That's not teaching you sound theology. And here's a proof of that, because something else out of this movement that people are, you know, they're making their shirts and all these things. And one of the expressions was, you know, wear it's a hat or a tee, put it on anything. Make heaven crowded.
Whoa, really?
I
didn't see that.
Make heaven crowded.
Really?
Because now through these movements that are religious and flooding into political circles, and you cannot tell me that you're not using it for political purposes when you put a sheriff in Kootenai County who's been defamed and a national embarrassment, but let's use this positive PR to put him at Grooveberries, who got national attention, and put him on stage for a Charlie Kirk event, because you can use Candlelight to promote it and get a few thousand people to show up in the park, and let's push him up onto the stage. Why? Like, what significant role did he have in any of that, except that he's an elected public figure? And so let's be opportunistic and put this guy up on stage in a MAGA hat. I mean, when you break it down that way, it's embarrassing. But back to make heaven crowded. Heaven will not be crowded. I mean, that when I read that, it actually was painful and put a physical heaviness on my heart.
How do you know heaven won't be crowded?
Because narrow is the way. Broad is the path that leads to destruction, and narrow is the way.
Yeah.
Heaven will, and it's unfortunate for all this people who are viewing this, what's happening now, as some kind of a revival without repentance, as Dan stated. The most painful truth, and the thing that's hardest to really let sink in, is that heaven will not be crowded. And I think that is the biggest pain that we will all experience when we are on that side of eternity. It just isn't going to be. And so to be fooled by the people who are showing up based on emotionalism, and to think that that's some kind of a transformation of a community or transformation of a nation,
Well, this has been my biggest problem with the so-called new conservative movement here in Kootenai County is you have a lot of people, and it's similar. You have a lot of people that call themselves conservatives, and they don't even understand what that means because they've never read any history, the American history. They haven't read the founders in their own words. They don't have a foundation, but they're conservative because it feels good to say, I'm pro Second Amendment.
It's not just
I'm pro First Amendment. But it's the same thing. If people are being converted on a false foundation because it's emotional, it's no good. It's the same thing.
Yeah, and the leaders in that movement will be held responsible for that ultimately. But the other thing is coming to Kootenai County and claiming conservative and putting scripture up in your heading on your Facebook and saying Jesus lover and all this thing, it's good for business. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm sick of seeing is that there are people that I know that came from Seattle, and you are not going to be a successful real estate agent in Seattle proper and say Jesus is the way and quote scripture on your profile. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can pretty much guarantee you that stuff you're like, that's my private life. I'm going to leave my private life private. That's not good for business. But we have this perception now in Kootenai County that you can come here and I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to attend church, tell you whose church I go to, put the scripture in the thing, and it's going to create a popular circle. Obviously, it has been successful.
Well, sure it is.
It has been successful for business, and that is why people are doing it.
But it's the same thing. It's the same hype that brought everybody down to the Gun Delane event back in 2020 when the C string of BLM was going to come there, and it was nothing more than a Homeland Security op to figure out who was all going to show up with their firearms. I mean, it's the same thing. And there are a lot of so-called leaders, especially those in the local churches, that I suspect are not who you think they are, but they're taking you all the way to the bank, including, I think, Paul Van Noy. It's been reported, nobody has refuted this yet, makes $400,000 a year is what's being told. I don't know if that's true. If it is, it's completely disgusting. And as a follower of Christ, I rebuke that kind of.
Well, yeah. And why is Candlelight behind the creation of a new Charlie Kirk nonprofit, the Kootenai County chapter? And most likely, this is a hunch based on information that's floating around out there and available, funded the purchasing of what would have to be thousands of dollars of sweatshirts and t-shirts that you guys are being sold when you're now being emotionally manipulated to show up at these events for what? And wearing your matching t-shirts, and they're being sold in the foyer at Candlelight. And the proceeds are going to a nonprofit that's being created that, of course, isn't registered yet. But we got a Facebook page. And do we need? I mean, that's a thing for another day, and a piece that I'm working on that I think will astound you when it's released as to some of the people that are at the helm of this movement who have very questionable pasts that line up to using religiosity for political motives and for influence and sway in this community, and it is disgusting.
And forming continual 501c3s, and then
a history of it,
and then making money off of them, and
on to something else.
Getting in town. All right.
A history of it. We have the interview.
Did we vamp enough?
Well, you know what? What you ended up with was a totally unplanned. Not that our stuff's ever scripted, because it's not.
No,
but
we try to keep it a little bit between the rails.
I'm going to bring this up. So now a gal that you are going to have the pleasure to meet, and I have no doubt that you're going to love hearing from her and learning about her. And as promised, and hopefully this works this time.
I got confidence in you.
I don't know. Next up on Liberty Without Compromise, I'm honored to welcome Charlene Phipps. She's currently serving on the Spirit Lake City Council and now running for mayor of Spirit Lake. Charlene has been a vocal advocate for citizens, known for digging into issues, asking tough questions, and holding government accountable. Over the past couple of years, she's volunteered heavily with the Spirit Lake Chamber of Commerce, the Senior Center, and the Spirit Lake Community Coalition. Prior to public service, she worked in healthcare as a registered nurse and also has experience in legal secretarial work. Skills, she says, help with reviewing contracts in volatile situations. In her campaign, Charlene promises to expand comment opportunities for the public, bring audits online, hold town halls, and build a business consortium so local business voices are heard. We're going to get into what inspired her to run, how her council experience shapes her mayoral approach, and what she sees as Spirit Lake's greatest challenges. So, Charlene, we welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Charlene, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and tell us about your race. Give us a little background on your experience with the Spirit Lake City Council.
Well, I was elected in November of 23. It was actually the second time that I had run. I have had an opportunity to work closely with the city council members, the mayor, and city staff. It has also provided me an insight into how the city itself runs, the business aspect of what is required to function as a city. And I believe that I can do an excellent job in ensuring that our city thrives for the coming years. We need to have a successful, thriving business sector. We need to support our citizens, and we need a opportunity for those individuals and those companies or businesses to work together and ensure that this city succeeds for the next few years, or ongoing, I guess.
I had talked a little bit about your background when we were introducing you. Give me a little bit more on your work history, your background, and then how that's been an asset to you both in how you're serving currently and then in the race for mayor.
Well, as a registered nurse, I have a background in shock trauma ICU and the emergency department. You are required to work in a very high, stressful, chaotic environment in life and death situations. It requires you the skills necessary to work closely with individuals in very trying times, and sometimes on deathbeds. Those experiences allow me to work well with the public, to interact with a variety of individuals. That it also provides me an opportunity to deal effectively in very stressful situations. As my registered nursing career, I worked on contract negotiations, working closely with senior staff, required a lot of detail work, and also had the opportunity of being a steward for individual staffing when they were called before administration. Those two roles required detail, logic, and comprehensive investigation, and I believe that I did that very well. I was asked to be on our contract team and negotiations team for the registered nursing in my hospital. I did that twice. As a legal secretary work, I worked with the Department of Labor with attorneys. I worked in private companies that require detailed review of contracts, negotiations, and legal documents. And I believe that both of those situations have provided a strong background, and especially with the work that I have done on city council, it has provided a strong background for me to perform well as a mayor.
What prompted you really to run for mayor? I know that we've touched a little bit on it, but you have been on the city council for what, just a little over 2 years now, or maybe just coming up on 2 years. When does that term end, and what made you want to jump to the mayor?
Well, to be honest, I never even thought about it. I was asked probably a good dozen individuals in the volunteer work that I do. They asked me to run. And so after speaking at great length with my husband to make sure that that was something that he would be fully endorsing, I decided to run for mayor. Most of those individuals that asked felt that I would be a strong mayor that could support the citizens, and they got a lot of faith in me, and I feel very blessed that they took that opportunity to actually confront me and ask me to run. I don't have, my term will not be up for another 2 years. If I do win the mayoral position, I will have to designate someone to take over. I've already spoken to several individuals, and I have commitments from a couple of them that said that they would be willing to take over that term.
How does the mayor interact with city council members, and what are their unique differences? How will your role be different? What are the primary things as mayor as opposed to how you're serving now on city council?
City council has a role to set the budget, to take care of the financial end of what the city is involved in. They are responsible for updating, writing, and basically updating the city code. As a mayor, you're responsible individually for the employees that you supervise. I think that I have a strong background that will allow me to work well with the employees of the city. It's my belief that I can make a difference in how the city and city hall interacts. There's been issues between city hall and our residents or voters in the city, and I would like to see a much more cohesive environment between those two, that so the residents of Spirit Lake feel like they're being heard. It's my belief that we can and we will have an open door policy, that so citizens can actually speak to council at public or at our city council meetings, that so we have a public comment period. It's also my belief that we need a much more open door policy, that so citizens can come in and actually speak directly with the mayor without feeling like they have to set an appointment, like without feeling that they are questioned just because they have a concern of what's going on in their neighborhood. I think if we listen to the residents, if we listen to our constituents, and we hear what they have to say before it becomes a major problem, then those issues can be resolved. And that's my goal.
So right now, the city of Spirit Lake, you have how many residents?
2,566.
And what is your largest budget line item or department right now that takes
the police
up
department?
How's your current relationship with the chief right now and his staff?
I have an excellent relationship with the police department. In fact, I've already spoken with the police chief about having monthly coffee with the police chief and the mayor, that so citizens could actually meet on a one-on-one basis at a coffee shop and just discuss our concerns and what is going on between the police department and the residents. I would also like to rotate that through and have the heads of our departments actually do the same. That so if an individual has a problem with public works or the parks or the park and rec department, that those individuals be able to meet on a monthly basis at their leisure and at their time. I am going to hold quarterly town hall meetings, that so we can have the residents come together and have an open conversation. The police chief is going to be involved in that.
Awesome. So right now, a pretty large topic in Kootenai County, specifically with the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, has been specifically regarding the automatic license plate readers. My understanding is that the city of Spirit Lake does not currently deploy ALPRs, whether stationary or on patrol cars. If that is correct, is there any plans to fund such cameras if the chief of police were to request those? Would you be opposed or open to using those ALPRs as mayor?
We currently do not. We don't even have the funds to do it. But personally, on a personal level, I don't agree with them. I think it's a surveillance state. I have to admit that is not something I've actually spoken with the police chief about.
Sure.
I believe it's an invasion of privacy, but I do have to admit that is something that I have not spoken with the police chief about. I don't even know if that is something that he wishes to have.
Sure. That came to us from one of our listeners, so we wanted to throw that out there to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
It looks like the Spirit Lake mayoral race is pretty crowded. And I'd
Yes,
love to
it
know I'd love to know from you what sets you apart from the other candidates running. I don't know if any of them have experience in service of sitting on city council or necessarily what their background is. I'm sure you've got more knowledge on that. So what sets you apart from your opponents?
I think it's my volunteer work. And it is against the other three, it's my volunteer work. I've been involved in a variety of organizations for the last several years. I am the co-founder of our community center Meals on Wheels. In the last 3 years, we've raised over $23,000 for that organization through a program that I started called the Silent Auction. We have that on a yearly basis, and we've had 3 events. And it's the total that we've come up with those 3 years is the 23,000. I'm also involved in our Spirit Lake Community Coalition, which is basically a, what do you call it? Volunteer organization that encourages and promotes a citizen-driven plan for what your city is going to be doing for the next several years. We're right in the midst of conducting a survey through our Heart and Soul program, and I am a core team member of the Heart and Soul. We received a grant from Innovia of about $20,000 and $10,000 from the Heart and Soul program itself. We are in the midst of doing the survey to determine what the residents would like to see changed, what they love about their city, what can we do going forward to promote and support our citizens. I've also been involved in the senior center for the last several years, and so it gives me an opportunity to really listen to our elderly population that is in Spirit Lake, what their concerns are, what they would like to see changed. Majority of them would like to have a medical facility in town. We have also been involved in of course, the city council. There's only one other individual that has been involved in city council. The other 2 have not. But I believe that the majority of my differences between who is running is my volunteer work. I will continue to do that even if I become the mayor, because I have met some remarkable individuals that I work with. They are smart, talented, and they will be a great resource if I become mayor that I'll be able to call on and if I need assistance. They have already committed that to me, that said that they would do that. And I think that sets me apart, is I have a whole group of individuals that are willing to step up and say, hey, how can we succeed? What do we need to do to succeed? And I believe that is my strongest suit.
It sounds like you really have your finger on the pulse of Spirit Lake, a great love for the city.
Yeah. Volunteerism, of course, is very dear to my heart as well. And I just cut you off.
I am a firm believer you have to give back to the community that you live in. I'm a firm believer that you need to support those individuals, that you need to give back to those that are less fortunate. And that was one of the reasons I started doing this, was to give back to the community. I had heard 3 years ago that the senior center and the Meals on Wheels were in a financial fix. And within a 3-week period of time, I alone put together the first silent auction. We held it at the community center. we only raised about $1,500, but that was $1,500 they didn't have prior. And so it is very dear to my heart that you need to support those that need assistance.
Indeed. You know, I have lived in this region my entire life, fourth generation, grew up in the Spokane Valley on some historical land. We've always loved Spirit Lake. My dad was a millwright out at Kaiser Aluminum for 40 years, and many of the men that he worked with came from Spirit Lake. So we lived very close to Spirit Lake in our home here in Athel, Athel, not the city, but, you know, the general zip code. One of the things that I noticed that I was somewhat, I guess, surprised is the Coeur d'Alene Press recently did their Meet the Candidate forums. And we see just about every single city except for Spirit Lake. And were you reached out to by the chamber or by the Coeur d'Alene Press as a candidate for a position in Spirit Lake, or did they just flat out blow you guys off?
I received a request for their voter guide, and I did complete that. I did not know about the meet and greet. That wasn't something that I had been informed of, but I would definitely have attended.
So they didn't necessarily cut you guys out, because I didn't notice any Spirit Lake representation on the videos. So I just was curious as I was looking that up. And then, so have you met with any of the local parties? I'm assuming that this is a nonpartisan race, but have any other groups interviewed you for this position?
I have been interviewed from the Watchman Ministries. It is a nonprofit organization that it's faith-based, that does interviews, and there were two of the candidates for mayor that participated in that. And I encourage your listeners, if they get an opportunity, to access that site and listen to the interviews. It is very informative, I believe. It goes around to most of the churches that are in the area, both for Kootenai County. And I believe it would give you some insight onto the differences between the two of us and what we wish to achieve.
Sure. But once again, the race is nonpartisan, correct?
That is correct.
So have any of the other political parties interviewed you or any of your fellow campaigners?
There was one individual and I that was interviewed by the KCRCC. I did not know about their meet and greet, and I did not know about their whole process until after an individual told me that they had a meet and greet. I reached out to the KCRCC. They did not reach out to me. They indicated that they would have a panel to interview me, but it wasn't a full panel. It was only a partial panel. I did not get their endorsement. My thought is, because I believe it's important to work together, I am not a staunch Republican to say that I believe that you need to work across the aisle. You need to work together in order to see your city succeed. I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the 14th Amendment. Don't get me wrong. Sure. I am very pro-life, but
you're in a position where you have to work with, you're in a position that you have to work with everybody that are your constituents.
Exactly. There is not just Republicans that live in Spirit Lake. There are Democrats, there are independents, and you are required to work and support everybody that lives within that area. You can't just single out one group and support that group alone. You need to support the whole city. And that means reaching across the aisle. That means working together so the city succeeds. You cannot just choose and pick who you wish to support.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I know that there is another mayoral candidate running, I think, in Athel or city council. I forget which position, but this individual and I have gone the rounds because I lived here in this region. My grandparents were over here. As I said earlier, my dad had many of his friends from work that lived up in Spirit Lake. And believe it or not, folks, 30 years ago, this was a very different political landscape, and there were a lot of blue dog Democrats. So I think that you're being extremely wise in that approach, and it's unfortunate that you know, the KCRCC, it sounds like, wasn't able to contact you. It sounds like you had to jump through some hoops, and that's unfortunate. But I think that if people really want a good idea of who is running, they need to do their own research. They cannot rely just on these faux ballots, these sample ballots with a bunch of individuals that have been preordained to fill these positions. Anybody that's watched this show for a length of time understands that. But I really appreciate the fact that you're stating that you do have to reach across the aisle, and that's not a dirty thing as a conservative, to actually represent the people that are your constituents.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Well, what other items have we not discussed that maybe you wanted to bring up and let the viewers know more about you or your positions or anything that we didn't cover?
Well, my goals for the city, I am running on a platform of transparency. I want to open up like I had indicated earlier, I want to open up our city council meetings to public comment where the citizens can come in and speak directly to city council. I do not want it agenda driven. I want a voter to come in, speak to the council on whatever topic they wish to choose. I believe it's incumbent upon us as politicians, as elected officials, to listen to everybody that walks in the door. The best way that opportunity is provided to citizens is through our city council meeting. Otherwise, they can't talk to the council directly. I want to ensure that our yearly audit is posted on our website. I believe they need an opportunity to review that at their leisure. They shouldn't have to come into City Hall to review it. They need to do it at their leisure whenever they choose. I would like that business consortium to give an opportunity for business owners to speak. Tell us your complaints, tell us your concerns, and then let's come up with some solutions to ensure that your businesses thrive. Spirit Lake is losing 4 businesses or 3 businesses right now as it stands this year under this current administration. We need to support our businesses to ensure that they survive because they are our tax base. We have an obligation to ensure that our tax base survives, or we don't have an infrastructure. And I definitely can tell you, I don't want it turned over to the state or any government entity where they're responsible for our sewer and our water. Right. I want Spirit Lake to be the one that is responsible for those, because that is more accountable to the citizens.
Why are these 4? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just going to go on to say that I have been attending meetings, seminars, conferences, all throughout the inland Northwest, Washington, Idaho, to educate myself, to learn, to obtain knowledge and network with individuals that will give me resources that aren't necessarily right here, but on a state, county level that will provide information and support me in this role. I was very fortunate to go down to Boise in July and attend a Northwest Community Development Institute. That institute is a 3-year program, and I attended year 1, but it provides tools for like project funding, policy navigation, citizen participation. It also provides information on grantsmanship, leadership. I received a scholarship from the Institute to attend of $600. And then Avista provided a grant for me to attend, and they paid for my hotel when I went down and my travel. The coalition paid for my travel. So I think it's important to know and learn and network when you're in this role, that so you can seek out and utilize those resources to support the work that you're doing. I was very fortunate, along with our Spirit Lake Coalition, to meet with a gal by the name of Jenny Hemley from Boise. She's involved in Main Street America. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but Main Street America is a program that supports rural historical communities. She came up and visited with I and the coalition and was giving us ideas on how we can proceed to actually maintain that or obtain that Main Street designation. If we do, they have investors, they have networking to support our businesses through low interest loans, different resources that we could utilize, that we could bring to Spirit Lake to improve our downtown. I think that's all important, and the network and the individuals that I have spoken to have just been tremendous and very supportive. When I was down at the Institute, I was very fortunate. I met with the mayor of Caldwell, Idaho, and we had a 45-minute conversation on what it takes to run a city. And I'm telling you, in that 45 minutes, I learned a lot.
That's awesome. Well, we greatly appreciate your time to come on the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast and tell us more about your race and exactly why you're running. It's been very informative for me, and I want to remind people that in Kootenai County, our far northeast or northwest, I guess it would be, city is Spirit Lake. And if you haven't been there, it is a great place to go. They have some extremely great places to hang out, including several bars there on the strip if you like to drink. They have some great restaurants. And of course, one of my favorite shops is Stella's Stogies. We love that place, but people should, if they have not gone up to Spirit Lake, they should get up there and experience it themselves. It's a hidden gem. But we wish you all the best in your endeavors here, and we'll be anxiously watching the campaign results here in a couple weeks.
One more thing, if people want signs or they want to get in touch with you, they thought of some other questions, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, I have two resources, and I actually have cards I've been handing out. One is my email address, which is charrn at 1997@gmail.com. The other is my telephone number. I'm taking phone calls, and that is 530-526-1117.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
And
we'll
thank you very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
God bless. You know, I really like her. She's a really nice, gracious lady. And I mean, so is Debbie, by the way. If it didn't say that, I do, despite the hard questions, I do like Debbie personally.
Well, and we continue to get compliments and feedback that Debbie didn't have to come on the program. I mean, and that is one of the tough things of running for office anywhere. In any county across the nation, you open yourself up for scrutiny. People are going to dig. And if there's anything, it's there to be found. Yeah. And so I commend Debbie, and we thanked her when she was on, but just to reiterate that she could have taken a different route, and it took a lot of courage to come on, and it was the right thing to do to be able to hear directly from her to explain with some of what was put out in regard to past work stuff. So for those of you who joined us after that fact, you can needle drop back to that interview with Debbie Loffman. On the heels of just hearing from Charlene Phipps, she did want to add that she's got a town hall coming up. That's Tuesday, October 21st at 7 p.m. And that is at the junior high school in Spirit Lake. It'll be, it's not her town hall only. There is a town hall that it will include those running for city council, and then also those in that mayoral race for Spirit Lake. So that's Tuesday, October 21st at 7 p.m. at the junior high school in Spirit Lake. And that it is important to go hear all of that. That mayoral race for Spirit Lake is another crowded race. Mm-hmm. And it's important to go to see them side by side, make those comparisons.
And just remember, on the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast, we do not chase down candidates to come on the show. It's an open invitation. If you want to come on, you just need to reach out to us at info@the libertywithoutcompromise.com. email address, and we will, I mean, the time's running short, so we're not interviewing Charlene at the expense of any of the other candidates. But again, if you are interested in coming on, you just have to let us know.
Actually,
we may
yeah.
have to do a couple special broadcasts between now and then.
And we can do that. We can create special segments for them to get that out there, because we want to create that opportunity for anybody who approaches us. And that's just it. And I'm glad that you said that, because there are 3 others aside from Charlene in running for that mayoral position in Spirit Lake. And so we will be glad to sit down virtually with any of you, and for any of the other races in this upcoming election as well. It's the invitation is there.
All right, we beat this all up. I'm done.
Yes.
I'm done talking about it.
Okay, you are?
Let's be done. Is there anything else? I think we're at the end of our battery life. It's been a long night. Thank you so much for persevering through all technical challenges.
Not the smoothest show we've ever done.
It's hard.
We will not be using this one in our portfolio.
And look,
But there were
I'm
some
not
good
complaining.
things there.
You far better than anything I could do. I just appreciate that you can run it as well as you do. And we appreciate you watching and sharing this show. We didn't talk a lot tonight about necessarily liberty specifically, but look, the founders had a lot to say about it. And I said it earlier, Thomas, a little more drink. Thomas Jefferson stated, you elect the government that you deserve. Think about that one. And Bjorn, if you ever want to come on and have a little discussion, I'm okay with that, because I absolutely think that the KCRCC, with what they're doing, is an abomination. I absolutely cannot stand the KCRCC. If I haven't said it enough times, I think you're a mafia. So Bjorn, if you want to come on and have a conversation, let's do that. Hey, Terry Seymour, thanks so much for watching us. I know that this is your very favorite pastime on Wednesday nights.
We love you, Bob.
We love you, Bob. Yeah. Got to always do our drag voice.
Ed DePriest said, see if we can get Luke Sommer and let's debate.
Yeah. Hey, I think
we will live stream a debate.
Anybody that does not want to debate is a coward. I'm just saying it. My personal belief is, if you refuse to debate, you are a coward, Bob Norris and the KCRCC, you cowards.
One thing I heard about Dan Gookin when he interviewed with Watchman Ministry, I'm not calling this gossip. It's not gossip. But he was asked by the interviewer, well, don't you have notes? But like Dan Gookin, don't you have notes? And he said no, because if it's not coming out of here, it's not worth bringing to the table. And those are things you can observe as well. Who's reliant? Look, we all glance at notes and things, but who really is,
or in the case of
walking the walk?
Fat mouth Ed Baharana, he selectively chooses the questions that he doesn't want you to answer.
Because he wanted to ask you about calling the church prostituting.
I know somebody that runs their mouth is a prostitute for the KCRCC.
Yeah, ooh.
Fat mouth Ed Baharana.
Woo!
Take that one to the bank, Ed.
Man.
Hey, remember to pray for our friend Jim. Remember to count your liberty extremely close. Pretty precious. So we're going to get out of here. Have a good night.
Thank you for joining us on tonight. We've just bumbled on through it, but thank you for hanging with us tonight here on Liberty Without Compromise, the live stream broadcast.
You need a little
Just
break.
to reiterate, we are the only live, local, liberty-minded broadcast in Kootenai County.
Yeah.
It's not scripted. We don't have notes. We might have bullet points. We have a plan. We don't just blather on without a plan. But we are the only ones doing that live and taking your comments and questions and really being that town square.
What about the
County.
local? What about the local podcast that got like $200,000 seed money to come and be the mouthpiece for the?
Yes,
we all know who you're talking about.
There are other local publications and live streams that have seed money. We have never done that.
I think we should go down
this on our own.
With a bunch of you. We should go down to the Bunker Bar in Post Falls off Spokane Street. I think we should all meet up and talk about liberty. If you're interested in that, let us know. We'll arrange a night to go down there.
I love that idea. info@libertywithoutcompromise.com. I guess we can pick a date and a time and you can meet us at the Bunker Bar. We like that place. You never know when you might find us at the Bunker Bar. and who you might run into. And Bree she's all in.
Of course, she's Scottish, like me.
All right. Visit our website, libertywithoutcompromise.com. You can join our email list there, purchase apparel, sport your hats, libertywithoutcompromise.com. For those of you listening back on our podcast, well, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows if you're into the podcast thing. But join us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And a reminder, opinions expressed here are ours only, not necessarily that of our advertisers, affiliate sponsors, or guests. And we'll see you when we see you, because we might take a week off. We'll see you when we see you.